Well, Flock, as the great Yogi Berra once said, it's getting late early. Alright, well this is 3 and 3 out for week number 2. If you are new to 3 and 3 out, first things first, it is written, recorded, performed, distributed exclusively for the Seahawks podcast. This is the podcast. You got to be part of it. Gettingtheflock.com to find out more. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Find the dudes. They're awesome. So if you're new to 3 and 3 out, we had some questions last week on YouTube. Some folks didn't really get the gist of it. So if you're new, 3 and 3 out is a unique look at a Seahawks recap. So we're going to ignore some of the bigger things that we know everybody else is going to cover throughout the week. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper to look at the nooks and the crannies, the why did we win, in this case, why did we lose, and really uncover 3 things that we thought were pretty darn awesome about our Seahawks and 3 things that kept us shaking our heads. And we all know with this week 2 loss, we're going to be shaking our heads a lot. So let's dive in. We have a rule here. If we win, we start with an in. We're 0-2. So we get the pleasure of, unfortunately, starting with an out. So let's begin. Now, this is a type of game where it's so hard to ignore some of the bigger themes that we saw go wrong, but I'm going to do my best. So I'll start with something that's kind of small, right? Here's a player who is normally so darn good. You see a player like this that's so consistent, so good, almost always make a mistake like this, and it's a mental mistake. It just kind of shows you where this team is at right now, which is it's not in a good place. So this first out is going to go to number 23. This is a guy I like a whole lot, Nico Thorpe. This man should be a perennial Pro Bowler for special teams. He's a darn good special teamer. However, we're down 7-0. We're punting the ball back to the Bears. Dixon does his thing, kind of coughing corners it. Cohen is pinned along the left sideline right there. Nico comes screaming down, doing what he should do, but he lets Cohen escape to the near side. You can't let that happen. Cohen's sneaky good, right? He gets right around Thorpe, sneaks up the edge, and gets like another 25 yards. We are not a good enough football team right now where we can make mental mistakes, and this is a mental mistake. It gave the Bears a lot more momentum, and away they go. So the first out might seem small, but it's really a microcosm of the issues that are happening on this team right now. A mental error by a very good special teams player. So Nico Thorpe, you get the first out. All right, let's move on to an in. Believe it or not, there were some ins. Let's talk about some, all right? We understand that our defense played pretty darn well, and given that 2 Pro Bowl caliber linebackers, 1 being all pro, I couldn't ask for more from this defense. I think we played certainly well enough to win this game. One of the reasons was because of McDougal. Bradley McDougal now for 2 years, going on 2nd year here, has been a darn good safety for this team. This guy can tackle. This guy makes open field tackles all the time. And when he gets in a one-on-one position where some dudes just flail and fail, McDougal consistently makes good tackles. As battered as we are, as torn down right now and kind of, depressed as we feel as Seahawks fans, this defense is still performing pretty darn well. McDougal's a big reason for it. Let's give the first in to McDougal, and let's roll on over to another route. All right, but hey, Bradley, that's some good stuff, man. I love it. Reading is fundamental for those that remember that from their childhood. And in this case, we're talking about the fact that there were, I believe, zero read option plays that gave Russell Wilson a chance to go make positive yards. We have a weapon in Russell Wilson, and we're not using him at all with any read options. In a game where we're having a hard time moving the ball, let's put the ball in Russell's hands and allow him to do some good things. Allow him to do some backyard things, because when we get up tempo and we start getting Russ involved, good things happen. Action begets action, and some read options to Russell are kind of just what the doctor ordered, but we have a big issue right now with how Schottenheimer's calling this. The moment he was hired, Adam from the Seahawks podcast, he was all over that, saying that this is a boring hire and a terrible hire. We're into 2 weeks and we're not seeing anything. I'll avoid the rest of the macro discussion. I'm sure those guys will handle it, and many others as well. But how do we go through a game where we need to get something going and we don't do any read options, not one read option. The fact that Schottenheimer doesn't call one of them up, reading is fundamental, read options are fundamental often to this offense, that gets an out. That's a big deal. Let's see if we can correct some of this in week 3 and be at least a slice more innovative, a slice more fun out there on offense. I'm not holding my breath, but let's get over to another in, all right? Okay, you know the well might be a little bit dry when the second in, we're going to special teams right away, but I think this one is justified because we're going to give this in to Seabass, right? So Sebastian Janikowski, I wouldn't call it a trot. Maybe it's a saunter. I'm not sure what you call that. Kind of just, moo-moos his way out there. He gets onto the field, time ticking down the first half. It's been an atrocious first half. And Pete's like, hey man, go make a 56-yard field goal. What's the dude do? He kind of puts all our fears aside from week 1 and just bangs out a 56-yard field goal. Now, listen, we didn't win the game, so we can't look back and say, oh, that didn't matter. At that time, it was huge. We were going into the half only down 1 score in a game which at that point we had no business being in. So we went in with some optimism. We all grabbed a cold beer, did something like that. We did some talking with the flock on Facebook and Twitter during halftime, and we were excited for the second half saying, hey, we got a chance at this. That was huge. Cannot be underscored. It'll be important as the season grows on. So Seabass, that's straight up on you. That's an in. That's a great job. What else can you say? A 56-yarder. You nailed it. You get the in. All right, this final out is also tied back to a macro theme, but we're going to give this one to Coach Carroll. I'm sure Schottenheimer has something to do with this as well, but ultimately I think it's Carroll's call. No, we're not talking about Carson only getting 6 touches. Again, I'm sure that'll be covered, and that was a disgrace, so we're not going there. What we are going to talk about, though, is on our very first drive, we're at 3rd and 2, we're in Bears territory, and we don't run the darn ball. Now it's 4th and 2, and we punt the darn ball down to the 4, only to see the Bears go 96 yards for a touchdown. I know Dixon's a weapon. We love Dixon. That's a beautiful punt, but we're in their territory. We're on the road. We're running the ball well. Why in the world do we not run the ball on 3rd and 2? No idea. Inexcusable, non-defensible, and then to not go for it on 4th and 2 only compounds it. It was cowardice, it was weak, we punted away, and it's one of the reasons we lost. Carson was damn good in that first drive, and for him not to get the ball on 3rd and 2, inexcusable, and for him to not get the ball on 4th and 2, inexcusable. Done. Alright, this last end's pretty darn cool. Any of you flockers watch the Pats-Jags game? Pats were getting close. They score a touchdown. The Jags get a 15-yard penalty on that touchdown play. So Belichick tells Gostkowski, hey, do a little pooch punt. Try to land it at the 1. We'll tackle him within the 10. Gostkowski barely misses it. It carries into the end zone. Belichick is pissed off. Jags get the ball to the 25-yard line. But wait, they don't have Dixon. We do. What does Dixon do in the same exact scenario? The dude does a drop kick. And doesn't just do it and it's like, oh, that worked out. That was kind of cute. The dude executes a drop kick so beautifully. Of course, the ESPN coverage, which by the way is rubbish, top to bottom rubbish, including your lower third graphics. Somebody hire a damn designer, would you? They're horrible. But we did get to see on the replay, Dixon drop kick to pin them deep when we needed that. That is such a key play. It is a little bit sad that this guy is quote-unquote our best weapon at this point. However, credit is due for taking the man in the 5th round when everybody's yelling that you don't spend draft capital on a punter. You know what? We sent a 6th round pick for a Hundley. Give me the 5th round punter who could do that every single day of the week. Dixon did an amazing job right there. That is incredible, incredible talent. So the drop kick Murphy, the in, the whole thing already goes to Dixon. That's our 3rd in. Good job. As lame as this sounds, it's kind of cool to watch Seattle punt because that dude is just straight amazing. All right, that that wraps up this week, but of course we still have our From the Flock coming at you, so there's a couple different ways. During the game, you can tweet at us with the hashtag 3i30, or if you're in the flock, go to getintheflock.com if you're not. So if you're a Patreon contributor to the Seahawkers podcast at a certain dollar level, you get invited to an awesome Seahawkers Pod Ring of Honor on Facebook, and the discussions pre-game, during the game, post-game, all week long, all off-season long, they are worth it. It is an amazing group of Seahawks fans to be involved with, and a global group. It is a ton of fun. So a lot of these ins and outs are coming at you. Some screenshots from the flock.